All right, let's dive right into the explosive growth of the early church. And I want you to forget everything you might think you know about church as this quiet, static building. We're going to look at it as something else entirely. A powerful, two-part engine that was literally designed for exponential growth.
So let me ask you a question right off the bat. When you hear the word church, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it a building? A Sunday service, maybe? Well, the material we're digging into today challenges us to think way, way bigger than that.
Because at its very core, the church was never meant to be just a destination. It was designed to be a dynamic, unstoppable movement. Think of it like a high-performance engine. And just like any engine, it needs two absolutely crucial components to roar to life. The first one, that's the spark that gets it all started.
And that initial spark is what the sources call a personal witness. Now, we're not talking about some formal program or a slick prepackaged presentation. No, this is something far more raw and powerful. A deeply personal, authentic experience that literally ignites the entire process.
And get this, the origin of the word witness is fascinating. It comes from the Greek word martus. Does that sound familiar? It should. It's the exact same root for our word martyr. So that tells you right away, a witness isn't just someone sharing some information. It's someone testifying to what they have personally seen, heard, and experienced, something so real they'd stake their life on it. It's a declaration of a lived reality.
And this really highlights a huge difference. See, effective outreach isn't about some pre-packaged program you can memorize. It's found in a person. It's the difference between just reciting a formula and actually sharing how a relationship with Jesus has personally and fundamentally changed your life. One is impersonal and kind of cold. The other is deeply relational, authentic, and impossible to ignore.
Okay, so what makes this kind of personal story credible, believable? Well, the sources lay out four key things. It all starts with a maturing life, where people can actually see a positive change in you. Then it's fueled by a genuine concern for other people, which you show through a servant's heart. And the whole thing is built on an unshakable belief that the gospel really has the power to change lives. Bottom line, your life is what gives your words weight.
And the result of this kind of powerful, credible witness? Well, on the day of Pentecost, after Peter just stood up and shared his personal story, the Bible says about 3,000 people were added to the church in a single day. I mean, wow, that's the power of the spark. But, as you know, a spark alone isn't enough to keep an engine running for the long haul.
Right. Every engine needs more than just an initial spark to keep going. It needs fuel. So if that personal witness is the ignition, the source material says that teaching is the high-octane fuel that provides the sustained power, making sure this whole movement doesn't just fizzle out. And here's the crucial point, really. Witnessing is what brings people through the door, but it's the teaching that grounds them in the truth. So they don't just stay, but they actually grow, mature, and eventually become witnesses themselves. You see? That's how you go from simple addition to exponential multiplication.
And listen, this isn't just some good idea someone came up with later. This is a direct command from Jesus himself. He didn't just say, go and make converts. He was incredibly specific. He said, go and make disciples, and then in the very next breath, teach these new disciples. The two actions are fundamentally totally linked.
So what does this kind of game-changing teaching actually look like in practice? Well, the book of Acts gives us this fantastic model with the people from a town called Berea. These folks were not passive listeners, no way. They were active, fully engaged students of the Word.
The Bereans had this amazing five-step approach. It all started with a yielded mind. They were actually open to receiving the Word, but they were also intentional about it. They came with all readiness. Their method was super detailed. They didn't just casually read. They searched the scriptures like detectives looking for the truth. And this wasn't a weekly chore. It was a daily habit. And it all had one clear purpose: to find out for themselves if what they were hearing was really true. And that's the whole point, isn't it? The goal of this kind of teaching isn't just to win a trivia night or fill your head with facts and doctrines. The goal is transformation. It's about helping people mature into disciples whose lives are truly and fundamentally changed from the inside out. Okay, so we've got the spark of personal witnessing, and we have the fuel of solid teaching. With both of these essential parts in place, let's put this engine together and see how it really generates true multiplication. The sources give us a perfect analogy here. Witnessing all by itself is like planting a seed. Yeah, it's a vital first step, but if you just walk away and never water it, that new life is going to wither and die. It leads to shallow conversions that just don't last.
Now, on the other hand, teaching without witnessing is like meticulously cultivating an empty field. I mean, you can have the best Bible studies and the deepest theology in the entire world, but if no new seeds are ever being planted, you'll just end up with a stagnant, inward-focused group.
But when you combine them, when that authentic personal spark is followed by the deep, transformative fuel of teaching, that's when you get the formula for exponential growth. New believers are brought in, they get grounded in the truth, and then they're equipped to become witnesses themselves, starting the whole cycle all over again. That, right there, is the engine of the early church.
So as we wrap this up, the final question this all leads to is a personal one. This engine for growth needs both parts to run. It absolutely needs the spark and it needs the fuel. So the real question is, which part will you be?